You can see here that there's a savings of $137 per TEU compared to the direct cost going directly to San Antonio. That was my attempt at drawing the line to make it more clear. So these are to me, are the major advantages of doing transshipment. When you load the ship in Shanghai, you know that you're going to be serving more than one market. So it's easier and quicker to reach a high utilization of that outgoing vessel. And the same thing applies on the return. When you leave Callao, you can consolidate cargo from many locations and get up to break even and beyond rates of utilization in order to be prepared for the long trip then back to Shanghai. So this is a map that some of you have seen before, but I want to point out that there is a lot of talk about transshipment, and a lot of it is focused on Panama and the Caribbean. And in this map, I put a lot of possible ports for transshipment activity. And from any one of these ports, you could imagine your containers being distributed to the U.S. East Coast, to the Gulf, to Mexico, to Central America, to all of the Caribbean, to Colombia, to Venezuela, etc. This is one of the key advantages of transshipment, especially with very large vessels. Now, not every port on this map will be a hub. There are too many, and many of them are really not in the game. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I think that's the sound of government takeover. So that's Puerto Cabello. The Port of Spain, I would take off the map because even though they do some transshipment, it's mainly with Brazilian cargo, not Asian cargo that moves east-west. Yeah. It was in the program.
Oh, sorry.
And we'll take out a couple more here. Freeport is almost at full capacity right now, but they're building to double their capacity. Here in Caucedo, same story. They're at about 1 million TEUs now, but they're investing and they're going to be doubling capacity. Kingston is almost at capacity, and they're looking at plans for staying ahead of the demand curve. And Cartagena, the same story. They've been experts in staying ahead of the demand curve, so when the demand comes, they're ready. And then Cologne, MIT, same story, well-run and very efficient. And then we have one new one that you heard about this morning. It's not built yet, but it will be in a couple of years, and that's the new APM terminal in Moín in Costa Rica. So this is a region of the world that is highly populated with hubs, transshipment hubs. And I want to stress a point that Armando made and Rodolfo made as well. These hubs can work because they're in the right place. It's not because the countries are really big with domestic markets. Jamaica is really small, but the port can serve as a transshipment hub because it's in the right location. Callao actually has the advantages that I mentioned earlier in terms of location, plus the advantage of serving a large domestic market. So it's the best of both worlds. A strong domestic market on which you can build what we might call the frosting on the cake, the transshipment operations on top of the domestic market. So, better logistics. Final word. When you think of a supply chain, it has several parts. You buy something, you make something, you ship it, and then you sell it. As basic 4 big parts. Now, there could be many, many companies involved. The problem today is that nobody pays much attention to the entire chain from the beginning to the end. The only person or port that I know of is Geraldine Natz at the Port of Los Angeles, who called a meeting of every company involved that touches the container, from China to the store at Walmart. She got them all together. And it was magic. They all learned a great deal, as you can imagine, from everyone else. So what I'm saying here is that supply chains are kind of like an orchestra. There are many, many players. Everybody plays a different instrument. Hopefully they're all reading the same music. And if one player is out of tune, everybody knows it. The entire orchestra sounds terrible because there's one person or one company, one player who isn't doing his part. So the idea here is to communicate from the start to the end of the supply chain, and then to collaborate, share information, so the goods can move much more quickly, or as I think of it, so the orchestra can sound perfect as the goods move through. So you have to orchestrate. So all the players are singing or playing the right instrument at the right time. And I think if you all pay attention to that concept, think beyond the gate to the final market and to the origin of the container, we will all end up with better supply chains that are moving faster and more efficiently, and your operations at the port will also be more effective. So this is the title of my speech, and I just wanted to leave you with this fact, that a vision, like my vision of being the president, a vision without execution is really just a hallucination. So as Armando perfectly said, is we have to stop dreaming and we have to get to work. So I want to wish you all success. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Robert.